We are going to go walking through a winter wonderland. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and in today's video we're going to take a walk out in the gardens and show off some of the shrubs that are really putting on a show here in the winter. And I think they look especially nice up against this beautiful white snow that we are currently getting. We're also going to take a look to see the progress on the greenhouse structure, to see how the guys are coming along there. And then we'll head indoors and check out the girls are working on getting some shrubs ready to be put to bed for the winter. And then just a few other little projects that we have going on. So let's go ahead and take a walk first off outdoors in the garden and see the beautiful shrubs. Feels like I always pick the best of days to go out and do these videos. I think the last video we did outside, it was snowing as well. But really, I think this snow is going to really, sorry, I'm trying to cover up my mic so the wind doesn't blow on it. I think this snow is going to really accent some of these plants, so it's a really good time to show them to you. So let's take a look. Here we have berry poppins. We also have, which is a female holly. We also have Mr. Poppins in here because we need a male pollinator to get these beautiful red berries here in the winter. And I just love, especially now that there's snow on them, I love how it just really creates a pop of color, that red up against the white. We also very intentionally, when we planted this plant, we planted it up against a white fence. That way, if we didn't have snow at the time or whatever, these red berries would still really put on a show. The thing that's nice, I think, with the berry poppins is clusters, big, large clusters of berries. Look at all those beautiful berries. Now, it would be nice if the sun was out right now because I think we'd be able to see the berries a little brighter. It feels like they're showing pretty dark here in the video, but they really are a beautiful, beautiful, vibrant splash of red in the landscape. These are also nice for winter pots, so if you like to do cut berries for your evergreen pots, this is a great plant for that. These have been in here, I think this is year 3, so we do trim them a little bit every year just to kind of keep them shaped and maintained. There's another one over here. We'll go take a look at it. Now, I will put the height and the zone information up on the screen because I really wasn't thinking about going out here until I got out here. So if we put that information on, you can see the hardiness zone of these plants as well as the mature height of them. So here's another one looking just as beautiful as the first. Now you might wonder, what does Mr. Poppins look like? So let's go take a look at him. He is definitely not near as pretty as you would expect, but without him we wouldn't be getting those beautiful red berries. And you can use one Mr. Poppins and it can pollinate up to, I would say, 7 or 8 berry poppins. So you only have to have one plain looking shrub with many of these beautiful females to get all that beautiful berry color. These plants are planted about 10 to 15 foot apart, and you can see the excellent berry show that they're putting on. As long as we're out here, I'm going to show you the waterfall garden just so you can see what we did as far as trimming these plants back. Again, I think the snow is a nice backdrop because the plants don't get lost in the brown or the green of the ground. So you just got the white all around it. I'm going to name some of the plants. Mostly these are going to be hydrangeas, just to show you what we've done. So this is a Tough Stuff hydrangea. We did not trim that at all. So we're leaving that as is because those buds are already set. And I'm going to show you the buds for next year. So that there is going to be where our flowers are going to come from next year. So if we would have trimmed those this fall, we would have sacrificed our blooms for next year. So that's why we don't trim the Tough Stuff. Behind it, I believe this is an incredible blush, and we trimmed that back to about 3 foot tall, blooms off of the new growth. And so that's all kind of shaped up, mounded up, and or nicely shaped into a mound. So that one's ready to go for next year. Incredible, we did the same thing, trimmed it back to about 3 foot, kind of pruned it to shape a little bit. And that plant was over 5 foot tall when it was in full flower this summer. So we gave that a nice little trim back. Usually the rule of thumb is trimming them back by about 1/3 when you are trimming your shrubs that bloom on new growth. If your shrubs bloom on the previous season's growth or old growth, you do not, and hopefully you didn't, trim them in the fall. This here is the firelight hydrangea. This is a hardy hydrangea, also blooms on the new growth. And this one too, we took about 1/3 of it off. I would say it's probably about 3.5 to 4 foot tall right now. So that will get up to probably about 6 to 7 foot next summer again. And then these here are some more specimens of the incredible blush and also the incredible hydrangeas. Just all very uniform, trimmed all back to about 3 to 3.5 foot. Behind those, you'll see there's kind of a thicker, woodier looking shrub. And that one right there in the center of the screen, that is the Pinky Winky hydrangea. That one had been up to 12 foot tall as of about 2 years ago. Last summer we trimmed it back a bit, and we're going to try to keep it more uniform in size because it was just way too big at 12 foot. So right now it's trimmed back to about 5 foot, and I would say they probably trimmed a good couple, 1 to 2 feet off of it when they trimmed it this fall. So in the back there we have the Invincible Spirit hydrangeas. Those have been trimmed back to 3 foot. Those too bloom off of the new growth, and we got them just nicely shaped up. And I don't know, when we trim them, I like to trim them to a nice mounding ball. That way when they come back alive, or not come back alive, but that way when they put their new growth on in the spring, they just have that nice habit just waiting to go. Up front are spirea, and these got trimmed back quite a bit. They're about 18 inches tall, so they were almost probably 4 foot at one point. So we trimmed them back really nicely because they were just getting too big. One rule of thumb I like to say is, if you have a shrub and you're not really enjoying how it's looking, the shape, the habit, the something, just go ahead and trim it. You might sacrifice flowers, but an ugly shrub is always going to be an ugly shrub unless you do something about it. And trimming it would be doing something about it. Just behind those spirea, we have some butterfly bush, and you'll notice those have not been trimmed back. So in Michigan here, we're a zone 6A, and sometimes butterfly bush can be a little finicky if we trim them back to the ground. A lot of years, if it's a really cold year, they'll act as a perennial where the new growth comes back from the base. And in other years, they'll act more like a shrub where the growth will come off of the previous season's growth. The waterfall garden has been put to sleep. This nice blanket of snow just covers everything that would have been here if it were summertime right now. And we'll pop a picture up because I think the contrast is quite something to see, the difference obviously between winter and summer. But even in all seasons, I think gardens are beautiful with just the various textures and such that they bring. As we make our way around, we've got some more butterfly bush that we have not trimmed back, again for the same reason. We want to try to see if we can get them bigger faster, and that would be if we have a winter that is conducive of new growth coming off of what's currently there. They'll get bigger faster and be blooming quicker. But if we have a hard winter, like I said, they're going to come back from the base and just take a little bit longer to start flowering. It is so windy out here today. It's freezing. But on the end here, this is the Itea Little Henry, and I think this is probably one of the first times that we've really gone through and trimmed this. And I don't know why. We've never really done it before, but it's trimmed back to about 3 foot right now. So I'll be really curious to see next year how that looks. And this plant did need a big trimming because it was getting so large. So it's a beautiful plant with summer, actually early summer blooms and great fall foliage. We're gonna head on over to one of the other Proven Winners signature gardens because there's some great dogwood over here. And I think the important thing with planting dogwood in the garden is the twigs. It's not about the flowers because there really isn't significant flowers. It's certainly not about the foliage because the foliage is just kind of plain and green. But it is totally about the twigs. Now, we did go just last week and trimmed pretty much most of the twigs back. So you're not gonna see like this big, beautiful full plant. I should have probably done the video last week before we trimmed it. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to show you at least the red twigs down at the base. Now, if you have dogwood in your garden, I recommend trimming it about every 2 years or so, because it's that new growth that gives you that vibrant red color. So if you just let your dogwood go and don't trim it, it's going to eventually kind of brown out on you. So trimming it is important. So again, if the sun was out, the vibrancy would just be a little better. But look at all those beautiful red twigs. This plant was about 4 foot tall before we trimmed it back, and it was really gorgeous. But those nice red twigs look really pretty up against the white snow. We also have the yellow twig dogwood, which this one's kind of buried. I'm going to kick it a little bit, kick off some of that snow. Kind of worked. So this one here, although again the color is just not really there in the video, it is out here in the landscape. And to be honest, I really was not loving this Arctic Fire yellow. The color, the habit just was kind of not great. But once we started trimming some of those twigs off and using them in our winter porch pots, it was really a beautiful addition via, you know, cut twigs to those planters. So I guess you can't always judge a plant by what it looks like in the garden. You got to think past the garden and what its other uses are. One other plant that looks like it's pretty right now is the proudberry. Now, I didn't know if we'd still have berries on this or not, but we certainly do. So let's go in and take a closer look at it. So they are covered with snow. Whew. Wind chill is chilly. The proudberry has beautiful pink berries, especially in the fall. Now that it's cold out, they're getting a little bit brown and not as pretty looking. But this is one of those underutilized shrubs. See if I can knock some of that snow off in the garden. That is just absolutely beautiful. Look at those beautiful clusters of berries. Just imagine this plant just full of all these pink beautiful berries. So proudberry again is another one that has some beautiful winter interest. Maybe we're a little too into the winter at this point, but definitely helps extend the garden color well later into the season. Okay, now we're going to go take a look at the greenhouse expansion project and see how they are doing. They've made a lot of headway since the last time we did a video. And these guys, oh my gosh, I do not envy them at all. I mean, I'm freezing just doing a video, and they're out here working all day in this weather. So I'm hoping they have some good gloves, because I did not put any on and I'm regretting it 100%. So as we make our way over to the new area, things you'll notice since last time are the hoops are all up there in the top of the greenhouse. Gutters are all up, trusses are all up. So now what they're working on is putting, I'm going to call it Lexan, which Rod says is a brand like tissue or Kleenex. But they're working on putting Lexan up between the various areas in the greenhouse. So since they're not in here right at the moment, we'll get in here and take a look from the bottom up. So there are 7 greenhouses here. 3 of them are going to get enclosed. So the one I'm currently in, this next one here, and then one more. So those 3 are currently the ones that we're going to enclose for this season. Because we are putting a loading dock right about where that trailer's at, we didn't want to start from the front of the greenhouse and work our way backwards, because when you do that, you're not always guaranteed, even though on paper and everything it looks good, you're not always guaranteed that they're going to match up once you get to the existing houses. So we worked from the existing houses forward, and over time what we'll do is enclose these next 4 houses. So right now I am in what we're going to have be our shipping area. So all the way from that back garage door that you're seeing, we have hoops up, and this area here is going to take us all the way to that trailer. So this is going to get enclosed, and that's going to be the shipping barn area. Once we get to this first set of poles here, let me see if I can do it without falling in a rut, because they've got all their tire tracks in here. Once we get to this area here, you'll notice that we don't have any hoops up. So this will be a future project, putting the hoops on. which we don't need the hoops at this point, and that was just added extra expense that we didn't want to take on this year. So we will do that probably next year, but that will get finished at that time. This is just going to be a kind of a outdoor area, even though it's enclosed all but the top. So we can still use it for growing space, just not heated growing space. So what they're working on right now is putting on what we call a knee wall, and that's with the Lexan, and that's what divides the greenhouses. So every 2 greenhouses, we put a curtain down. That way we can kind of control heat zones. So if we want to keep one area warmer or cooler than the other, we can just put a curtain down and keep the temperature where we want it. So yeah, these guys, man, they're doing a great job getting it done. I'm sure this is not their favorite time of year to be building, but they build year round and do an excellent job at it. We're gonna head inside now to see what is going on the indoors. Right now I'm in our head house. Basically that's an area that connects all the greenhouses together. Right now it's kind of a storage area for various parts and stuff that are coming in for the greenhouses. So we've got our heaters there. We use the Modine heaters. There's fans and shutters, and these will all get installed into those greenhouses. Once the guys are done doing their part, then our team will go in and start doing our part. So in this area we have our coal frames greenhouses. So basically they're a ground to ground greenhouse, and you can see the snow just sitting up on them right now. These are at very minimal heat. We do have to keep some heat on them because obviously the snow will get heavy and collapse them. So we want to make sure that we can keep it warm enough to keep the snow melted and sliding off of these coal frames. So these areas they're all ready to go. We're going to be putting shrubs in them, and actually I think that's what the team is working on today, is getting the shrubs all cleaned up and moved out to this area. Yes, so this one here has already been filled. Most of what's in here are evergreen shrubs, or shrubs that don't lose their leaves, such as boxwood. Looks like there's some holly in here, arborvitae, those type of plants. So they are all nicely spaced and just ready to go to sleep for the winter. Right now this greenhouse here is getting power washed, so washing any algae or anything that may have formed over the season. It's very foggy down there because the water is warmer than the air, and even as I'm sitting here, I'm going to turn it around because it's kind of funny. Steam just coming off my breath. So every time I talk, I'm getting this little puff of smoke, which is actually kind of fun. Take a look down here. We've got 2 more of our ground to ground coal frames. All right, this one's empty, so this one will be getting filled up soon. And the last one I also think might be empty. Yes, it is. So we'll go out and see what the girls are doing with the shrubs that they're prepping to put into these locations. So the area we're in right now, this used to be the area that all of our shipping happened in. This space is not very big. Logan, do you know how big this space is?
500 square feet.
So 500 square feet. This is where everything used to happen in this 500 square foot area. The cleanup, the shipping, the putting things in the box, everything happened in this space. That was many, many years ago. And since then, this space has been used to house our sticker machine, which stickers all of our pots. But with the new shipping area going into place, we decided to turn this area into more of a conference room. So we have a little bit of work yet to do, but it's been all enclosed and insulated. So it'll stay either nice and cold or nice and warm, depending on what we need. So Logan's up there right now. He's painting, starting to paint. And the area where he's painting, we're just gonna put some Lexan up there so it kind of will give us some natural light into this space. Although we don't want too much natural light because we do need to make sure that when we're doing like presentations and things that it can be dark enough that people can see the screen. So this should be done probably, what do you think, a couple weeks maybe or so? Week and a half or so. They're aiming to have this space done. So yeah, they've done a really nice job at this. So it's going to be a nice space to have. Like I said, if we want to hold, if I'm going to do a talk on something or presentations or just a nice meeting room when we get our team all together. The next area we're going to head into, and this needs to be worked on yet, so it's kind of a staging area for everything that's going on with a construction zone. But this here is going to be our lunchroom, and this area too will get a fresh coat of paint put on it. We've got to do a little bit of something up there with that ceiling because it just kind of looks kind of disgusting. It had white plastic over it, so they ripped all the white plastic down, and they might put more white plastic back up again. But fresh coat of paint in here, and this will be our temporary lunchroom until this space gets made larger into a much bigger space for the team to have lunch in as well. So always projects going on. There's just never a slow moment here at Garden Crossings. So all right, let's go. This was a sidetrack, but let's go head out to see now what the girls are doing in the greenhouses. So when we were outdoors, I was telling you about a knee wall, and I think this is a better place to explain what a knee wall is. So here we have two greenhouses, hoop to hoop, and they're separated by what we call a knee wall. And basically here's a closer picture of the knee wall and what it's actually doing. So you can see how there's a curtain there. That curtain is open all summer long, but in the winter we keep that curtain closed. That way we can kind of keep the temperatures different if we want to keep them different. Right now I am in a perennial greenhouse, and it is at minimal temperatures, and the minimal temperatures are just to keep the snow from piling up on the roof. In this greenhouse, this houses all of the perennials that we planted last fall for this coming spring. So there's certain varieties we have to plant in the fall to get the roots established enough so that the plants are ready the next season. So this is just a small fraction of the perennials that we will be carrying. A lot of space yet to get filled up. You can see this whole side of the greenhouse. This is going to be all all perennials. And I think once it's all said and done, we'll probably have at least 8 sides. So here's 2 sides that you're seeing here, 2 more is 4, and then a whole nother greenhouse area that will be all perennials. Plus we have an outside off-site location that grows perennials as well. So a lot of perennials waiting to be shipped to your homes in 2024. Next to us here, the team is cleaning up the shrubs. So let's take a look at what they're doing. The rule is if a door is open, it stays open, and if a door is shut, it stays shut. And that's just kind of because we know the temperatures we want each space to be. So here we've got 4 of the gals out, and they are basically, the shrubs in this area are starting to fall asleep. So they're cleaning them up. You can see the leaves have fallen. This is a little quick fire. So basically they're going through and shaking off all the leaves. Any ones that just want to cling on and not let go, they kind of pick them off. And that way they're all clean. And then these are going to get moved out to the cold frame area that I showed you a little bit ago. Why we grow them out here in the summer, it's easier to get them all planted out here in this big open space. But with the shrubs, there's so many various temperatures that certain ones like to be at. We want to keep them more separated for when we're waking them up in the spring. So obviously our spring blooming shrubs, we want to keep colder a little longer because we don't want them flowering too early, which would happen in the greenhouse. So if we keep them a little bit colder, it'll just kind of delay the bloom to a more natural bloom time, as if they were outdoors. Look at these beautiful Gatsby pink hydrangeas, gorgeous pink foliage. So once they go through, get them cleaned up and all picked up, you can see they all are working on a shipping cart there that they're loading the plants on. They're going to get pulled over to those cold frames and set down eventually. Once the shrubs are all removed, we come through with a giant leaf blower and leaf blow all of the remaining debris that's on the ground and get that all picked up. Come through and spray it with a fungicide and kill any of the moss that you're seeing on the ground and any other weeds that might be in here. Get them all killed off so that way it's a fresh, sterile area for when we start laying, in this case, probably perennials or annuals in this space. There's plenty of other areas that they will be heading to after they are finished in that area. Here we've got some bloomerang lilacs. They've all dropped their leaves at this point. So they will just get a very light trim for shaping before they get moved off to the area. But look at there. Let's see if we can get in close enough. Beautiful bloom. And this is in December. This is the Bloomerang Pur Pink. So this is a new variety. It was new last year, so very new. Now as I'm walking out here, the reason I have taken you down this aisle is because there's something at the end there that is just so vibrant. I think I know what it is, but as we get closer, we'll figure it out. I'm seeing hot colors of red and orange. I think it's barberry, but we will see. Yes, it is. Anyone, before I get too close, anybody want to take a guess at what variety those two are? There's two varieties there. You'll see one that's orange and one that's red. So if you want to put a little guess in the comment area a minute, you can. I think you'll be surprised as I get closer though. All right, the first one is Sunjoy Citrus, which is a lime green barberry. Look at this beautiful fall foliage color. Now, they're in a greenhouse, so they're protected. They're not getting the outdoor elements. So this might not be what you're actually going to see in your landscape. Sometimes we do get to see some more beautiful colorations in these protected spaces, but isn't that amazing? And then the next one with this deep, deep, deep red, Sunjoy Toto. Sunjoy Toto is normally a very dark burgundy foliage, and look at that vibrant, fiery red colors. So pretty. That is one nice thing with the greenhouses, is just being able to watch the plants as they go through their different transitions in the season. There's actually a few more perennials. So this is mostly clematis. And there's some blooms. So everybody loves to see a cheery bloom this time of year, right? So clematis don't get set down where the other perennials do. Look at that beautiful bloom. So this is a new variety, Pasadon. I'm going to say that totally wrong, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. Clematis Boulevard Pasadon. I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point. But beautiful pink with a little hint of purple flower color going on there. All right, let's take a walk, keep walking, and just see if there's any other shrubs here that are giving any color. All of these shrubs are going to get moved out of these spaces and into those 5 cold frames that we saw earlier. All right, I am seeing some color, but I think the most vibrant color goes to those barberry. It's amazing, the foliage color on the barberry. So we're going to head up to the front, and I know you can see what I'm seeing up there. So let's take a look at what those varieties are. Sunjoy Tangelo. Beautiful fiery red. Sunjoy Neo, which I know that one gets fiery red. That's a gorgeous one out in the landscape. Moving just a little closer, Orange Pillar, which is a beautiful orange barberry. Look at this great fall foliage on that. It almost takes on more of a red burning bush type of a color. And then Sunjoy Mini Maroon. Kind of the same there as the Orange Pillar. And then here is some Gold Pillar. It's got a little bit of gold, but a little bit more orange going on. So it's really pretty just to see the transitions that the cold weather color can bring. So for those of you who wonder what goes on in a greenhouse in the winter, this is just a snapshot of what's currently going on here at Garden Crossings. We're getting plants ready, we're getting spaces ready for us to be able to bring you a bunch of new plants in 2024. If you are somebody who likes to start doing a little pre-planning, You can start placing your pre-orders online at gardencrossings.com. Don't worry, we're not going to ship them now. We can't do it. It's too cold out there. So we're just taking your orders, putting a reservation on that plant with your name so that you'll be guaranteed to get your plants once you're ready to receive them in the spring. We start shipping the end of March, beginning of April, based off of your hardiness zone. So if you are in Michigan, you won't be getting your plants until somewhere around probably the beginning of May. But for those of you who are in Florida or in California and are just itching for plants, obviously we can't send them. It's too cold this time of year and everything's sleeping. So we will have your orders ready for you, depending what zone you're in those states, somewhere around the end of March, beginning to mid-April. So get your list going, head to gardencrossings.com. If you have any questions on any of the plants that we've talked about today, or once you're at our website, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. I'm always on the other end waiting to help you. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.